Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Progressive Discussions. I am your host, James P. Madonna, as seen on the web since 2007. It's this motherfucker, the Facebook Messenger, son of a bitch. Zuckerberg, my arch nemesis. I gotta mute this, you fuck. Eagle beak, control freak geek, Mark Zucker scum, and his annoying notification sounds. Anyway, where the hell was I? It's been a while since I've been on live stream because I was in Facebook prison for 2 weeks because they didn't like what I had to say. They didn't like some of the truth that I laid on the asses of the masses, the mainstream population. I want to say something right now that I am very happy about, and that is my good friend, Mr. Ronnie S., originally from Long Island, now residing in Clearwater, Florida, which is a suburb of Tampa. He is alive and well, and I take it that him and his significant other are safe. And I just want to ring the bell. Welcoming back. Yeah, I'll do it like Salvation Army. Actually, it doesn't work that well that way. Welcome back. I'm glad that I told you to evacuate. I told Ronald J. Terrio when the hurricane was in northwestern Louisiana, and it turned around and it redirected towards his town. What the hell is it called? La Pace, La Pache, La Pace, something like that. Louisiana, and he decided not to evacuate, and then he told me that he should have listened to me. But anyway, I'm happy Ronnie is still with us. Hey, Masumi, my dear. Good morning to you. It is now 4:10 a.m. Monday in the Tokyo region. 4:10 a.m. Monday in Tokyo region. So good morning to you, Masumi. That's your alarm clock. This is a live alarm clock that has no snooze. You can't hit the snooze button. Oh boy. But anyway, good morning to Masumi. Ronnie S. says, thanks, James. The Tampa Bay area was spared by Ian. No damage here? Really? Well, the weather people, they when they get their information from NOAA, they should be more accurate and stop adding their own thoughts. That's why I don't bother. I don't bother to watch the local news with the weather. So what's going on? Why am I blurring up? Sabotage. I say it's Sabatucci by the oligarch, trying to sabotage progressive discussions with old James P. Madonna. Hey, Bart Robinson. Yeah, we're all doing pretty good. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Bart Robinson of southwestern New Jersey. And I hope all is well with you. Now, yes, and we are grateful when our friends are safe and sound. You know, a storm. I'll tell you, my late dear Uncle Phil explained to me where the hurricanes come from. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not going to say they come from the Atlantic Ocean. In a way, they do, but that's not where they start. What happens is the intense heat of the Sahara Desert accumulates in the atmosphere above the Sahara all year, right? And then right before hurricane season, which occurs in, I think, late summer, towards the end of summer, late August, and then continues September, November, and I think it ends before winter. But we don't know with today's climate change. It's totally unpredictable, the weather. So what happens is right before the peak of hurricane season, there's a current of air that travels westward from the Sahara Desert. So it starts blowing all that hot air from the Sahara over the Atlantic, and it continues to go westward. And what happens? How do storms develop? Well, you have a cold front meeting a warm front, or a warm front meeting a cold front. And all storms are based on a cyclical direction. They're cyclones. Okay. Whether they go clockwise or counterclockwise, I don't know. All I know is if you're north of the equator, the water down the drain goes clockwise. If you're south of the equator, the water going down the drain travels counterclockwise. So anyway, as the storms, whether they be hurricanes or typhoons, as they travel over water, particularly warm water, because they're going over the South Atlantic and they're hitting tropical waters, warm water strengthens them. So they build up to tropical storm power, strength, and then category 1 is officially the hurricane, category 2, 3, 4, and 5 being the worst. Okay, but when these storms, whether they be a hurricane or a typhoon in the Pacific, and they've been having a lot of typhoons. I mean, there's definitely climate change going on. Okay, when it goes over land, it weakens. Unless it goes over land that's all marsh and swamp with warm water, which is what happened to Ronald J. Theriot, because that hurricane, before it reached his town, kind of was moving real slow, and it sat over the marshland, the swampland, and it picked up speed. No, I was in YouTube prison. That's why it didn't work out. I just got on this afternoon. They reinstated me, Ronnie, this afternoon. Yeah. Okay. And to those that are on YouTube that have something to contribute or wish to be a part of the show, there is the link. It's in the comment section to join me via webcam. Okay, now, what I'm going to do, first I'm going to take a sip of chai tea made by a tea company that I like very much called Stash. It's a black tea with all the Indian spices, whatever, cinnamon, cloves, ginger, nutmeg, cardamom, so on and so forth. Oh man, that was good. Don Lemon threw his near dear so-called best friend Chris Cuomo under the bus. The guy that used to say, "I love you, love you, love you like a brother, love you like a brother, love you like a brother," threw him right under the bus. You know the old saying, you find out who your real friends are when you're in a crisis, or when you hit rock bottom. That's when you find out. And a couple others, the other colleagues from the corporate whore CNN, they threw him under the bus. But starting tomorrow, I believe, Chris Cuomo is beginning his new show on a network called News Nation. And he has more freedom there. So he's back as of tomorrow evening. CNN and Fox is like practically, well, it is. I think it is a tabloid. It's like the National Enquirer on TV. Yeah, Fox. They all suck. All of these mainstream media networks, Ronnie, they suck beyond belief. They really do. Hey, Mr. Tab. Tab is here. Thank you for joining me. Oh, it definitely sucks. what they did to the #1 rated show on CNN, which was Chris Cuomo. Okay, and so what that he attempted to give his brother some advice. So what? It's his brother. I would have gave my brother advice and consultation. I mean, they're both lawyers by trade. You know, Chris Cuomo is an outstanding lawyer originally. Excuse me, I just something flying around. I don't know if it's ragweed or I vacuum, so it can't really be a dust problem. No, it's a network whose main headquarters is based in Chicago, and Chris will be doing his show, streaming his show from either New York or Long Island, where he lives. That's all I know. They're pretty progressive, really. I'm looking forward to seeing his broadcast. But I'll see the rerun because if the Yankees are playing and Aaron Judge is okay, then I'll be watching the Yankee game. Okay, let me go get some topics up here. Let's see, what do I want to do first? I guess I'll try this one.
Why?
Let me lower the volume a little. Oh, got the damn. I got it cranked up too high. Okay, let me do a little screen sharing. As we get into the first topic of this Sunday. Normally, my time slot officially switched from Sunday afternoon to Saturday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern time, but because I haven't been on in 2 weeks, because of the social media platform upper executive scumbags, I decided I was kind of antsy to go on the air. You know, I was antsy. All right, let's see. Hold on. What advice did Chris give his brother? Not to be too touchy-feely? No, he probably said, don't stop short with the girls. If you're driving with a woman in the passenger seat, you remember Frank Costanza on Seinfeld? Stop short. Hey, he's a heterosexual, Caucasian, alpha male that is divorced, and he's single and ready to mingle. So I don't blame him, as long as he doesn't fondle women and grab them by the pussy like Donald Trump used to. And Donald Trump used to say, just start kissing them passionately, and they get seduced right away. Jordy, performing artist and songwriter, techno extraordinaire from the country of Scotland. How are you, sir? I'm good. Oh, Fiona was the Caribbean. Ian is the one that hit Florida. Yeah, Ian is probably fizzled out by now. Yeah, he's good. He's doing good. Him and his significant other are safe and sound, There was no damage to your condominium building, Ronnie? A Q-tip? What? During sex? You use a Q-tip? I kind of lost. I kind of lost. I don't know what conversation he's referring to. But do you use it as a sexual toy? A Q-tip on the woman's clitoris, the little man in a boat. Oh, they don't like what I said. I was talking about the oligarch, the fat cats of the top 1%, making pre-arrangements, let's put it that way, and politicians getting paid off and stuff of that nature. No condo damage. That's good to hear. So you use it for the little man and for the G spot, Mr. Tab. You use the Q-tip for the G spot. No, he uses a turkey. He uses a turkey baster and puts beer in it. Puts beer in the turkey baster, right? Nice, good craft beer, not that cheap macro shit. And he squirts it up the woman's vagina into the womb, and then she squirts it back into his mouth. So he gets the flavor of the craft beer with the flavor of the pussy juice. I call that the jizzomatic. That's my patented system called the James P. Madonna jizzomatic. Oh, Cuomo's comedy routine. Where was Saturday Night Live or something? Yes, I'm going back to Saturday. What do you think, Ronnie? Should I go back to Saturday night? Ronnie and Tab and Bart Robinson. Should I go back to Saturday night? What do you think? Earthquake, high gravity. Why, that pairs well with jism juice, Mr. Tab? That pairs well with it? Anal sex. Ugh. Now, you don't want that essence mixed with your craft beer. I would say you would convert it into crap beer, not craft beer. A little levity. Okay, let's get on to a serious subject here. I know we squeeze a little fun and frolic into the show, but I have to get through these topics.
Why is Lindsey Graham 25 days out from ballots going out, galloping in and saying we need a federal abortion ban? Really, where have you been, Lindsey Graham?
It's rare for me to say that something happening in politics is my favorite, but this is my favorite. Conservatives panicking over voters knowing who conservatives are and what they represent. After literally decades, nearly 50 years of attempting to dismantle and succeeding in dismantling reproductive rights for women, Republican candidates, Republican lawmakers are now running away from the issue because it turns out that most Americans do not want to strip women of their bodily autonomy. They don't want the government to get involved in these incredibly personal and intimate decisions. And so rather than campaigning on this massive victory that took them 50 years to accomplish, they're running away from it and even going after Senator Lindsey Graham pretty aggressively. Because just yesterday, he proposed a federal abortion ban that would ban abortions after 15 weeks. Now, the likelihood of that passing it's not going to pass. That just wouldn't pass. And so what we're seeing is this effort to hide the fact that Lindsey Graham would promote this, push this, or that Republicans would even want this. Let's hear a little more from Charlie Kirk, and then we'll go to you, John.
That feels like election interference. And I say this as someone who is so pro-life. I would love a total abortion ban. 15 weeks is not enough, but I'm also not dumb. 25 days out from ballots going out, the Democrats are applauding. Thank you, Lindsey Graham, for making this issue about abortion. They're enthusiastic that Lindsey Graham is now making this all about the one issue Democrats actually can win suburban women on. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish that the country was as pro-life as I am.
Get out of here.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, but it turns out the country isn't as pro-life as you are. In fact, a Kaiser Family Foundation poll from last month showed that 61% of Americans do not want to do away with reproductive rights for women. They don't want the government involved. Other polls actually showed an even higher percentage, about two-thirds of Americans not wanting the government involved. And I'm not surprised by that. I mean, of course. But John, is this election interference? Is Lindsey Graham proposing a conservative policy that Republicans have been fighting for 50 years? Is that election meddling? Is that what's happening right now?
Well, look, the difference between me and, for instance, Charlie Kirk is that I'm physically capable of empathy. And so I understand how annoying it would be for him to do this. Not just that he would do it, but to do it knowing it can't pass. That's like the part of it that I love the most. Like that he's screwing them over and it can't succeed. So that's amazing. I absolutely love it. It is funny, though, that like he says, I wish the country was as pro-life as me. I wish they wanted a full abortion ban, but they don't. Now, notice, he's still going to try to make it happen. All of them are. The only reason they're mad at Graham is that he's doing this right now. Not that they're doing it. They want a full ban. They know that it's not popular. They know that people don't want it, and they will immediately jump in it if through one of the many ways that our political system is manipulated and rigged and structurally opposed to democracy, they can get the power to do it. That's how they got Roe v. Wade. All he's saying there is we need to be loyal to each other in deceiving the American people about what we want and what we intend to do. We totally want this, but we need to fool these people that we have no respect for whatsoever to make them think that we're not insane radicals just long enough for us to take power, and then we can do the thing that we're lying to them about right now.
No,
it's very transparent.
It is incredible. You know, I applaud Charlie Kirk for the first time ever in how candid and transparent he is. This might be the first time he has told the truth, because what he's saying here is, hey, dummy, Lindsey Graham, we're supposed to be lying to people, okay? The midterms are coming up. And I appreciate it. I really do. And he's not the only one. So Roger Stone also has some thoughts about Lindsey Graham's proposal, saying Lindsey Graham is purposely helping the Democrats to ensure that we do not take back the U.S. Senate. He's purposely doing it. Lindsey Graham, famous leftist, you know, engaging in this mass conspiracy to ensure that Republicans lose. Yeah, sure. Okay. And Stone continues to say, this federal election is about our safety, security, health, food supply, economy, free speech, and the corruption of our justice system unless rhinos and Democrats try to make it about federal abortion policy, which the U.S. Supreme Court made unnecessary. Listen, I have no love for Roger Stone, and I don't see any redeeming qualities with this guy. But I will say, in the 1990s, he went on the record as supportive of reproductive rights. He also has a little bit of a salacious scandal in his past involving swinging and stuff. So I don't know if that had something to do with.
So that part's cool, but
I don't know if that had something to do with his more liberal views with abortion. But I do want to go to one more video before I go to you, John, and that's Marjorie Greene. Marjorie Greene, of all people, trying to pretend like Republicans aren't trying to ban abortion. Let's watch.
They believe the way to drive people to the polls is by scaring them. They're lying to women all over America saying that they can't have an abortion anymore, which that's a lie. There's plenty of places that women can easily get an abortion.
No, I mean, they're just trying to scare you and say that we're banning abortion. That's not true. You could still get an abortion totally. Yeah, I mean, if you're living in the middle of the country, if you're living in a red state, you have to spend literally thousands of dollars to travel out of state and pay for that abortion. But nonetheless, let's just pretend like Republicans didn't create that situation in the first place.
Yeah, 100%. Apologies. Apparently, my mic is on. We'll fix it in one of the breaks. But anyway, yeah. Why are people freaking out? Why are they pretending that we're for this thing that we're totally for? We've been on the record for 50 years. This is literally the only thing that millions of our voters actually care about. We have chosen people for the Supreme Court exclusively to accomplish this goal. As soon as it happened, we cheered for 72 hours, then realized that people hate us and they think that we're crazy radicals. So now we need to pretend that we don't care. And what are you even complaining about? You can still get abortions in the places that we haven't successfully stripped it away from at the state level yet. We're trying in many states. They just did it in West Virginia. In state after state, they're pushing for it. Now, thankfully, in places like Kansas, the people overrode it. But like, she is lying in so many different directions simultaneously. She wants a federal ban. All of them do, every single one of them. They are lying about it being a states' rights issue. That's not at all true. And in the States, it's not like, oh, we got what we wanted and now the status quo is good. No, they want to strip it away at the state level if they can't do it at the federal level. So all of this is utter dishonesty. They understand fundamentally that the people don't support their positions. Obviously, they're anti-democratic. They don't care about that. And for many of them, there's an extra layer of dishonesty. So for Roger Stone, he said the fact that the Supreme Court made it stripped away the protections means it's unnecessary, implying that he is happy with the status quo. What you said was that he gave some indication he was pro-choice earlier on. Charlie Kirk talking about how I'm totally pro-life, I want it banned everywhere. I think he's perfectly happy for it to be banned everywhere because he believes that women are at best second-class citizens. But the idea that these guys care, they don't care. Charlie Kirk isn't being paid by millionaires and billionaires to do what he thinks passes as a show because he's really just driven by the spirit of evangelical Christianity. And he can't take the injustice of he doesn't care about any of that. This is about money. He is cosplaying being a pro-lifer, as so many of them are. Now, someone like Marjorie Greene, she's a legitimate psychopath. She might actually believe some of these things. I don't doubt that some of them do. But for many of them, especially these men, it is a way to control people, especially women, in pursuit of economic goals that are always going to be far more important to them.
1000%. Now, I leave you with one more video, and it is someone I didn't expect to go on the record because he's been particularly horrendous when it comes to stripping women of their bodily autonomy, and that's Matt Walsh. Let's watch.
It's almost like he wants Republicans to lose. That's the conspiracy theory that I would actually subscribe to here. He wants Republicans to lose. This is sabotage. It's the only way to explain it. Given who it's coming from, especially. It's one thing if this was coming from someone in Congress who's just been deeply pro-life, a pro-life activist for years, and this has been their number one issue. And so they, and this is all they talk. This is one of their central things they talk about all the time. And they're just so excited about it that they maybe put the cart before the horse a little bit and came out and proposed this right before the midterms. That would be one thing. Now, I'd still say it's a bad political strategy, but then at least I could believe that it's sincere.
It's incredible because even Matt Walsh, who couldn't shut up about how happy he was, how giddy he was at women being stripped of their rights, is now turning around and scolding Lindsey Graham for doing what Lindsey Graham is supposed to do as a Republican lawmaker. But again, it's all about tricking voters. It's all about hiding the fact that they, on one hand, purport to be in favor of freedom, individual liberty. On the other hand, want to control the lives and bodies of women in this country. That is what the reality is. They support unpopular policies. They will push through unpopular policies, even if their own voters don't want them. They just want to make sure they do it in a way that is strategic for them and doesn't hurt them when elections are coming up. That's what's really going on.
Yeah.
And it's just an incredible.
Okay. Bear with me for one moment. Okay, back at the ranch. I will say this. Hold on. Wait a second. Hold on. I showed that one. Okay. It's incredible how many right-wingers are in this country. There, especially when they have access to social media and the internet. It's like cockroaches coming out of the woodwork. Interesting. Well, Ronald J. Theriot is a master historian. I will say this to my my viewers. Oh yeah, people think that Satan can't infiltrate churches. They're sadly mistaken. He can very well tempt anyone, and his biggest prize are people that are successful, that are on top of their game. I mean, it's a waste of time to go after lost souls, people that hit rock bottom, that are, you know, that are already lost. But that's a big feather in the demon's cap, is to go after people that are on top. Yeah, well, they're bored. They're bored. They want to pick issues and topics that are here, that might be here today and gone tomorrow, and then they come back. You know, current news topics. Yes, the Kabbalah. You know, a rabbi told me that many rabbis won't even mess with the Kabbalah. They won't even bother with that. That's King Solomon in the original temple. Yeah, it gets very deep into the occult, as well as Judeo religion, the Old Testament. Hey, Colin. I hope everything's well with you. Okay, just catching up on the comments. The Q-tip. The Q-tip man. Tab is the Q-tip expert. Oh, W. The big W from the movie Mad, Mad, Mad World. Yeah, well, Biden is no angel either when it comes to that. But then again, the G.W. Bush administration, we all know who is the real boss of that. His vice presidente, him and Halliburton and all his other, the military industrial complex. Okay, I caught up. Oh, not yet. Oh, Sank Iker. Oh, he's the boss over there. He should run for U.S. Senate of California. He's awesome. I don't think anybody in their right mind would choose to debate him. Really, I mean, he's brilliant, very quick thinker, and has facts to back him up. Orangey, yeah, I got my Orangey, the leopard gecko. Orangey is, except my Orangey is low maintenance. Congress, no, he's too good for Congress. He's too good. That's like telling Chris Cuomo to run for Congress. He's too good for Congress also. Chris Christie? I mean, yeah, sure. I remember when he was governor of New Jersey. You didn't get too many freebies from the state of New Jersey. The poor did not get much help at all when Chris Christie was in charge. Yeah, he also got COVID from Donald Trump when Donald Trump left the hospital and came back to the White House. Demanding female cats, Tabby. Yeah, demanding female. Krispy Kreme. Yeah, Krispy Kreme, Crisco Christie. That's what I used to call him. Krispy Kreme, Crisco Christie. Well, he's chummy. He was chummy with Obama after the tropical storm came up here. You know, or was it Category 1 that time? It hit the Jersey Shore, and then it hit New York, Long Island. Sandy? That was Sandy, wasn't it, Ronnie? Well, anyway, getting back to the video I just showed. A fertilized human egg is no more a human baby than an acorn is an oak tree. They are both potential lives. A Republican will fight like hell if you're still in the womb. But once you're born, you're on your own. You're a moocher. That's all I have to say about that. Yeah, they did a lot of damage. You're right. But and then he was making nice to Obama, who he probably bashed to high heavens before the storm came up here. Hurricane Sandy. Okay. Back to the next topic. Now, I don't know if this is, let me check this out. Is this an article? Oh, it talks about the atrocities committed by the late Queen Elizabeth II. Well, I'm no. Listen, I'm going to put it's a long article. I'm going to put this in the commentary. There's a lot of history in this article. And I'm no fan of imperialism or any royal family. To me, they're the worst welfare cheats that ever lived. Okay, so I'm not gonna sweat it. But we do have plenty of great topics here. Let me put this here. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the British Empire, the royal family. Hold on. Okay. This one is Mark. Let me see. Is it an article? I hate reading long articles, which I won't. Oh, all right. Let me share this. It's about Mark Zuckerberg, one of my favorite people. He lost a ton of money. A ton of money. Okay, let's see. Are we here? Oh, let me zoom in. Hold on. And I'm getting bombarded here by advertisement and bullshit, spam. Blow it out of your ass. Look at all this spam. Look at all these pages I have to close just to read this damn article. Billionaire wipeout. Mark Zuckerberg is in big trouble. Look, they're throwing stuff at me left and right. More spam pop-ups. What do they call that? Phishing? He lost a staggering amount of money so far this year. Mark Zuckerberg's pain is always my pleasure. Billionaire wipeout. It's no secret that the Meta, formerly Facebook CEO, Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse pivot isn't exactly paying off yet. The billionaire's fortune has dropped by a whopping $71 billion, leaving him with a piddly $55.9 billion left over. Piddly. This year, Bloomberg reports, rendering him only the 20th richest person in the world. Oh, my heart bleeds for you. You're breaking my heart, Zuckerberg. Sure, that's still plenty of pocket money, but it's the lowest spot he occupied in 8 years. Well, I hope he goes even lower. I hope the government shuts him down. In a sign of how far he's fallen, just 2 years ago, he was the third person in the world with almost twice the net worth, according to the report. Yeah, because he screws everybody over. He sells your private information. He is a real stereotypical member of the tribe. Remember that. It's worth noting that 2022 has proven disastrous for global markets and other tech titans as well. But even Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates and Amazon founder Jeff Bezos have lost far less than that. The takeaway: in the self-inflicted era of the metaverse, Zuckerberg is in big trouble. Well, I'm not going to go on anymore. I said what I needed to say here, and I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier hearing this news, really. Okay, back at the ranch. Here we go. He's zucked up. You know what? Listen, when I was in school, junior high, which is what, 7th and 8th grade in high school, we had geeks. We had geeks with high IQs that got, A's and B's, or sometimes there were straight A's. And there were geeks. There were wimpy, pencil neck geeks, often funny looking, with spaghetti arms. But they used to do whatever they can to get under everyone's skin. They knew how to push buttons. And Zuckerberg is using his income and his net worth as sort of like an extension of the manhood he never had when he was a little kid, when he probably was a teenager. He knew he was a geek, a pencil neck geek, and now he's a billionaire, and now he's trying to make up for it. That's what geeks usually do when they're successful. And he's a control freak. He loves throwing people in Facebook prison. So I'm happy. I'm really thrilled that he is going down financially. And that's not counting lawsuits and whatever the government can find on him that will stick. All right, let's see what we got here. how religion turned. Let's see how this goes. Whoop. Okay, this is interesting. This is interesting. Time to share screen. Okay, let's see what we got here. Make sure it's in front of us. Okay.
2008, of the big Republican presidential candidates, they were asked, how many of you believe in Darwinian biological evolution? 2/3 or 3/4 said, I do. 2012, same question asked, same group of people, Republican presidential candidates, it was already down to 1/3. 2016, the 17 people, main candidates for the Republican nomination, asked, do you believe in evolution? One, Jeb Bush, brave Jeb Bush, said he did, but he said, walking it back even as he said it, I'm not sure it should be taught in our public schools, and if it is, it should be taught along with creationism. So from 2008 to 2016, that was the change, and that changes. I don't believe all those people believe what they said. I don't think all of them disbelieve in evolution, some of them, but they were all obliged to say yes to falsehood and magical thinking of this religious kind. And that's where it becomes problematic. America has always been a Christian nation. That meant a very different thing 100 years ago or even 50 years ago than it means today. I grew up not going to church very often at all and not with much religious education, but all of my friends were weekly regular churchgoers of various kinds. Christian Protestant religion became extreme, became more magical and supernatural in its beliefs and practices in America than it had been in hundreds of years, and more so than it is anywhere else in the developed world. So you have that happening. At the same time, not coincidentally, you have the Republican Party beginning, certainly by 30 years ago, becoming more and more a party of those religiously extreme Protestants. So one thing that has happened, and one thing that has led, I think, the Republican Party to accept fantasy and wishful untruth more and more into its approach to policy, whether it's climate change or the idea that a secret Muslim conspiracy is about to replace our constitutional judiciary system with Sharia law, or any number of other simply untrue tenets of republicanism. All these things, which were nutty fringe ideas as recently as 30 years ago, are now in the Republican mainstream. I think there's a connection. I think once you have a political party, more and more of whose members are believe in religious and supernatural fantasies of a more and more extravagant kind, it stands to reason, or to unreason, that you will have a party that is more and more inclined to embrace the fantastical in its politics and policy. Believe whatever you want in the privacy of your home, in the privacy of your family, in the privacy of your church. But when it bleeds over, as it inevitably has done in America, to how we manage and construct our economy and our society, we're in trouble.
Okay. All right. First of all, I don't believe totally in evolution, Darwinism, because if that was the case, how come there are apes that haven't left the jungle yet and started walking upright? You know, how come there are no fish leaving the water today, turning into amphibians? How come there are no amphibians evolving into reptiles, and so on and so forth? We don't see it. There's certain fish, freshwater fish, that can breathe out of water and travel on land with their, with the assistance of their pectoral fins. One is a member of the gourami family called the climbing perch. The other one is the walking catfish of Malaysia. And the other one is a very aggressive fish called the snakehead. We don't see them evolving. So, but then again, the religious nuts, many of the creationists believe that the planet Earth is only 6,000 years old, and that early man lived with the dinosaurs and the woolly mammoths. Everything was on the Earth. They're out of their minds. Out of their minds. Okay, there's a straitjacket that's tailor-made for every one of them. Right, Tab, you're a very intelligent man. They evolved because they had a reason to evolve. Either evolve or perish. All right? Either evolve or perish. Well, yeah, the popes way back during the Middle Ages, they even around the time of the Emperor Constantine and Simon Magus, I mean, they became very corrupt, and they became like dictators, despots, autocrats, whatever you want to say. If you disagreed with the Pope, they torture you and then they kill you, accusing you of heresy. Then there was the Spanish Inquisition. During the time of the one of my favorite people, the Knights Templar. The Pope had it in for them, maybe because they did not give all of the treasure that they found to the Vatican at that time. They had a stash of their own, but they busted their ass fighting in battles, right, during the Crusades. Why shouldn't they get compensated for their efforts? So they ended up, they fled to France. They hid out in France, and then the ones that were left ended up in Scotland. What is that? There's a church or a cathedral, a road. The word rose is in it. But anyway, yeah. And then eventually, Martin Luther, the Reformation, he challenged the laws that were made up by the Catholic Church that were not necessarily, they were not in the Bible. And he started the first Protestant church, because there were, man-made laws are very much flawed, because humans are inherently evil and vile creatures that cannot be trusted. And look at all of the breaks that God gave humans in the Old Testament. He kept giving them break after break, because he still had hope for them. He loved them, and they turned against him over and over and over. Even when Moses came down from Mount Sinai, with the tablets, the Ten Commandments, they became pagans, and they sinned terribly. They, and Moses, he saved their ass from slavery in Egypt, and that's the thanks he got. So the humans really are vile creatures. Knights Templar, they were like heroes back then. They weren't the bad guys. Maybe Ronald J. Terrio can shed some light on the subject of the Knights Templar. Oofa. Hold on for a second. Hold on. Nope. I'm sending the wrong link. Oh. Colin is asking for a link. I thought I put the link on the comments section on YouTube. Okay. Okay. Oh, here's another one. Harvard expert is saying that Zuckerberg is destroying Facebook. All right, let's see how much spam and crap they throw in front of my face now. Oh, man. Okay. Let me check this out. Hold on for a second. Well, no, Moses was still part of the law of the Old Testament. There was no salvation yet. Jesus didn't come into the picture as the Messiah. They were still under the law, and the law was the Ten Commandments. But they didn't obey the law anyway. The Pharisees and the lying false prophet. Yeah, well, the lying false prophet. Okay, let's see what the Harvard expert says Mark Zuckerberg is destroying Facebook. He really lost his way. See how kind people are when they talk about Zuckerberg? What I don't like about this website is they throw a lot of crap at you. A lot of crap. Facebook turned Meta founder. Yeah, big deal. Mark Zuckerberg's worst enemy, according to a senior Harvard Business School fellow, Bill George, is, drum roll please, Mark Zuckerberg. Now that's Meta. I think Facebook is not going to do well as long as he's there. George told CNBC Make It. He's likely one of the reasons so many people are turning away from the company. He's really lost his way. All right. Let's see. He Per CNBC, George recently published a book on authentic leadership in which he outlines 5 different types of company dooming bad boss behavior. Well, because he's a pencil neck geek. He's a control freak geek. That's why. You know, he knows he has raisin balls in reality, and then he's trying to make up for it by being a scumbag. All right. In the Harvard man's opinion, Zuckerberg falls into 3 of those 5 categories. Ouch. People that say ouch, they don't want to offend anybody. They feel like they're being too harsh. Listen, when it comes to reality and the truth, you got to let it all hang out, because the truth shall set you free. Category 1 is the rationalizer who blames others for frustrations and failures. Yeah, that's Donald Trump. Exemplified by Zuck's insistence earlier this year that rival companies were to blame for Facebook's record-shattering value losses, rather than Facebook's own troubles adapting and remaining relevant. Second is the loner, who refuses to take advice. Oh, I know people like this. I sure do. Remember when he iced out Roger McNamee after McNamee told Zucko to stop meddling with democracy? Finally, George also classifies the Meta CEO as a glory seeker who puts dollar signs and status over all else. Well, people, because he's a member of the tribe. That one might not need too much context. Yeah, see, this guy wants to be gentle. If we might add a 4th archetype to this list, sword guy, a leader who exhibits bad boss behavior by threatening employees with swords, sounds like a hostile work environment, in our opinion. Hey, that's what Donald Trump did for 4 years. Of course, people can change. Now, he's not going to change. But they often fail to do so when rewarded for bad behavior with billions. This is a great article. Zuckerberg, because it's not only about Zuckerberg. So this man's book, it sounds really interesting. Zuckerberg loves to say that connection is the driving force behind Facebook. Through the spiritual precursor to the site was a digital space for users to judge women's attractiveness. By many accounts, Zuckerberg hasn't always been the best leader, but looking back at his roots, maybe that's just his most authentic self after all. And this book is called, I just want to plug it. It's called Authentic Leadership. Aha. Authentic Leadership. Sounds good to me. Okay, we're getting down there. Let me go back to the commentary. Yeah, too many ads. Too many ads. I don't know if I don't think I have any more from that website. So anyway, let me do this. All right. Here's the link to join progressive discussions. You know, I told my following over on Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. My following knows about the show. But you see how many of them, the multitudes of people that have raisin balls, that don't have the guts to come on a live stream show using their webcam and speak their mind. You see? How many pussies are out there? Is Mark Zuckerberg to Facebook what Vince McMahon was to the WWE? Yes. Yeah, Vince McMahon had to make all decisions, no matter how big or small. And he was very moody. Okay. Very difficult to get along with. Played office politics. If he liked you, wonderful. If he didn't, temperamental. Temperamental is the word I was looking for. I'm calling the ones that don't want to come on the show, that avoid coming on the show via webcam, raisin balls. The ones that don't really have a legitimate reason. They just don't. You know, they'll make comments. I'll get a lot of commentary, and I have tons of them over on TikTok and Twitter. But they keep it strictly texting all the time. They don't like, come on down. The price is right, like Bob Barker's. Ah, cool. There you go. You have a legitimate excuse. You're watching a game, football. Gotcha. Okay, let me check. All right, here we have one. The next topic. Nope. No, I keep it serious because there are too many freaks. There are way too many freakazoids over on TikTok. Freakazoids. And I'm putting it mildly. He says he'll try to come on. He's rowing right now. He took up rowing. He bought a rowing machine, so he's rowing. He's exercising. You know, last night he told me he was way too tired to go live with a show last night on YouTube. He was too tired, and then all of a sudden he went live. Never told me. So later on he told me he decided to go live the last minute, spur of the moment. He decided. That's him. BC is a big man baby. He doesn't even come on Ronald the Terrio show because he knows I'm there. You're damn right. He's a big obese man baby. There's no doubt about that. Zuckerbucks. Who's Zuckerbucks? Zuckerbucks? Why? Is that a new scam of his called Zuckerbucks? Okay, let me get the share. Let me get the old screen share here. Well, Zuckerberg can't tamper with my material for the show anymore because I have it in a very secure place where he has no ownership and no power. Okay, let me see if this is the right one. Okay, it's the right one. Zuckerbucks. He's on TikTok. VC's on TikTok. Every time I see him on TikTok, he has no shirt on. He's shirtless. He's topless. Yeah, BC's on TikTok, sure. He's on Instagram. You know, I will say this, everyone, Ronnie S. and everyone else. I get massive response from on my profile with whatever I post. I get massive response on TikTok. Commentary in nonstop. People are following me, are following my profile nonstop. And all I do is I upload material onto my profile, and it's like tons of commentary. No social media platform comes anywhere close to TikTok. Okay, I will give them credit for that. Pretty soon I'm going to have to bring out the world's loudest jingle bell, because tits the season as of the infamous Black Friday, right? The day after Thanksgiving is the beginning of, well, I celebrate Krampus Day and Festivus, but then I'll be using the world's loudest jingle bell together with my regular old-fashioned jingle bells. Jiggle balls. It sounds like he has a death wish. I mean, I feel, you know what? He's a grown man. He's not a child. He's not a teenager. And he has enough intelligence to know that his habits are self-destructive. And it's his decision. There's nothing anyone can do. You know, somebody mentioned try to do a little intervention, and he got defensive. He got angry. Oh, really? Ron DeSantis calls them Zuckerbucks? That's pretty funny. You know, those people that are members of the tribe, they're very slithery and sneaky, you know, like an eel. No. I can't go live until I have 1,000 followers. That's the rule on TikTok. They don't let you go live until you have 1,000 followers. And I haven't been a member there very long. I think I'm up to, I'm getting close to 400 followers. But it's going up on average, it goes up every other day. Sometimes one, sometimes several, sometimes a few, sometimes a dozen, but it goes up every day, every week rather, at different times. So eventually I'll hit 1,000. Then I can go live, but I can pre-record a video on TikTok, but they only give you like a maximum of like 3 minutes, something like that. So you have to like say what you need to say, and that's it. You can't diddly dick around. You can't procrastinate. You got to just say what needs to be said within that time frame and be done with it. Oh, Bernie's doing that? What about all the poor in the United States and the people that lost their jobs because of the pandemic and or maybe they foreclosed on many mortgages of Americans and the homelessness. California has really bad homelessness, in all the major cities of California. It's how about those people? Hurricane relief. What about those people? What about the floods because of climate change, the flooding that happened in the Midwest? Somewhere in the Midwest, or like in the southern Midwest, they had flooding there were lives lost. Many people lost their homes. What about them? Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, is a member of the tribe. Ronnie? And also, they're very close with Israel. So put the clues together. Bernie Sanders, tribe. Zelensky, tribe. Very close to Israel, tribe. And let us not forget how much political corruption was in the Ukraine before the Russian invasion. All right? You follow what I'm saying, Ronnie S. Well, then he's a fake, phony, and fraud. Well, I always said that Bernie Sanders has raisin balls. He has raisins for balls because he capitulated twice. He could have ran as a progressive independent. He could have joined the Green Party, but he didn't. Pussy. The only thing the governor of Florida is doing is offering thoughts and prayers. Hey, you're right. Well, that's what Republicans do. They say, we'll pray for you. I'm serious. They'll say, ask your friends and relatives for money and go to your local church and ask them for money. Ask them for money. Well, look at Europe. Europe is reliant on natural gas and oil and everything from Vladimir Putin. And now what is Europe? What is Germany going to do this winter? Hey, Colin, long time no see. How you doing, man?
Hey, good, bro.
Colin.
How are you doing?
What's
Good to see you, James.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hey,
Yeah.
Ronnie. Hey, Jason.
How you feeling? How's your health?
Yeah, doing good, bro. Just been working my nuts off like everybody else. You know what I mean?
Why they making you? They're offering you extra hours, or is it mandatory extra hours?
Well, summer's over now, so the overtime's it's gone. Hey, Ronnie. Yes. Yeah, no, we're still getting your 40 plus a little bit extra, so yeah, it's coming on that cold season now, and today's just pissing with rain with everything coming up from what went through Florida, so we're just getting a lot of rain, and it's probably heading your way too, brother.
No, we got it. I've had rain for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the rain, that penetrates your body. It's that cold, damp rain, chilly rain. That's the perfect weather for people that have fireplaces and wood burning stoves. Cast iron. I mean, that snap, crackle, and pop, and
they're the best, James. The best.
The sound of the wood.
Mm-hmm.
I know in Ireland they actually use correct me if I'm wrong, are dried blocks of peat moss.
Yeah, peat or turf, peat / turf.
They burn,
Yeah.
they dry it out, and they use it for fire, right?
Yeah, they dig it out of the land. It's unbelievable. But there's only certain parts of the patch where you can get it, you know. But they have these like specially crafted like shovels, if you want to call them,
Uh-huh.
with like a curve on them, and they just dig them in and they pull it out in like blocks, you know, like 12-inch blocks.
Wow. Well,
And
how much peat do you think Ireland has? Is it pretty well?
it just grows. It just grows. It's peat moss, they call it. It's just a land.
Oh, so they'll shovel out one block of peat, and then they'll leave it alone, and then it'll just grow back, right?
Yeah, but obviously, you know, as you know, you can't harvest the same area, you know,
Well,
too many
yeah.
times. You gotta, you know, yeah, give it a season.
And
otherwise you're gonna be down to the equator. You know what I mean?
there'll be a peat moss shortage if they did that. Like,
yeah,
let's say
it's like the pipelines.
let's say they shoveled blocks of peat for, I'm just going to make something up, for County Winslow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So we got trucks of peat, dry peat going to County Winslow. And then they leave that area alone. They don't touch it. And then another county, they'll go to another area and shovel peat.
Mm-hmm.
And then so on and so forth. Yeah, that only I'm happy it grows back, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a land, natural resource.
Yeah.
You know, it's like here in the United States, we have so much natural resource. We shouldn't have to go across the water and beg for other people for our oil. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. But that's another topic. You know.
Ireland has a certain seaweed that they use for food, like this Irish moss and dulse, I think.
Dulse, yeah, they call it dulse.
Dulse.
It's actually pretty.
Very high nutrition, and also there's a sea salt that they get up there in Ireland. It's very high quality sea salt for cooking. You know, but
yeah, but I remember years ago traveling on the Donegal. It's considered the Republic of Ireland, but it's in the northern part. And the ladies in the street were selling like Ziploc bags full of adults.
Oh,
And used to give them like 50 cents, you know, or $1, or you know, the equivalent of 50p or a punt if you're in the south, or you know, and yeah.
So it was harvested on the shoreline, and then they would dry it out.
Yeah, it's real tasty. It's an acquired taste. It's like drinking a pint of Guinness. You know, it's definitely an acquired taste. But once you're a young kid, you know, you don't like it. It's like Brussels sprouts, right? You don't like them. You know, maybe still some people don't like them, but you know, when you've had it so many times, and then your palate develops as you get older.
Okay, you know, it's interesting that you brought that up, because, well, I happen to love the whole cabbage family. Every
Me
member.
too.
Whether it be kale, collards, Brussels sprouts, Asian cabbage, European, the round cabbages, doesn't matter. And it happens to be very high in nutritional value. The cabbage family. You can't go wrong with the cabbage family. Now, when I was a kid, I decided, you know what? I'm going to start drinking dark roast black coffee with no milk and sugar. I was a teenager. I'm not a kid. I wanted to see if my taste buds would adjust to black coffee. And when I first sipped it, I go, "Whoa!" But I kept on doing it. And, I started tasting the natural flavor of black coffee after a while.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I got acclimated to it.
Yeah. That's all I drink is black coffee. The only thing I've recently found out, it's better if you choose your brand at the store or whatever, buy the beans, whatever. I'm no expert on coffee. Don't get me wrong, anybody. But it's better when you do it that way in your own coffee pot in your house. I've, in a rush, sometimes going to work, there's a 7-Eleven down the street. I'll get their coffee. Yeah, sure. When it's hot. Yeah. See, when it gets warm.
Yeah.
I'm just the you said there now. When it gets lukewarm and I take a sip of it, I'm like.
Yeah. Well, that's when the microwave comes in handy. So because I'm thinking of Donegal and what is it, Giants Causeway? It's kind of like to the west of Northern Ireland, right? It like hooks.
Yeah, northwest. Yeah.
The only thing I can't get used to, and I'm trying hard, is I can't seem to eat plain oatmeal with nothing in it but boiled oats, like nothing else in it, no fruits, no.
Yeah, James, that's a hard chew. That's a hard chew. I don't do it either, James. I like to buy. You see those ones in the store now. Hey, London, how you doing? The Quakers, Quaker oats, but they have like cinnamon flavor, apple flavor. They've every flavor under the sun. But just like you're saying there now, James, just to eat oats, the porridge oats, just like that. That's hard school. And it's old school.
Yeah. Well, they said they have Irish imported oatmeal, but I think they charge too much money for it. But they have the what is it? But anyway, they have in different companies, and they have the I get the organic one, steel cut, the steel cut organic, and I get the old fashioned rolled oats organic, and it's cheap. I mean, at this supermarket, but I have to put something in it. I mean, it's got to be dry. There's got to be something in there.
I agree.
Maybe some natural sweetener like turbinado, brown sugar, or
brown sugar is a good one.
I put Himalayan pink salt, and some people use butter, but you can't just drink it plain. But anyway, all right, welcome London Love. All right, let me get this video. We'll see what this video is about.
Now we've got the host of Justice Matters on YouTube, 30-year former federal prosecutor Glenn Kirshner. Glenn, thank you so much for coming on.
Great to be with you, Brian.
So I bet you wish you never made yourself the guy who I'd call every time there's a legal issue in Trump world, because it's cost you now.
It's heating up, I'll tell you.
All right, so let's get started with the newest bit of news, and I'm gonna do my best not to have our interviews immediately become obsolete, which is something that we've encountered a lot of times in the past with the way that things move so quickly. But the DOJ revealed that there were 43 empty folders with classified banners on them at Mar-a-Lago. Glenn, do you think they came that way? Like, what are the implications of finding empty classified document folders?
Yeah, I can't imagine Trump said, here's what I want you all to pack up at the White House. I'm going to need you to take those 43 empty folders that used to contain classified information. I'm going to need you to take those 28 empty folders that say on them, return to staff secretary / military aid. I'm going to need you to deliver all of those to my office proper. In case anybody wonders if it was my office, I've named it 45 office. And Brian, that's just some of the empty classified documents folders that were found at Mar-a-Lago. There were also several found in a storage facility across multiple boxes. Nobody packages up empty classified documents, folders to move them to their new digs. This is about it went from bad to worse to extraordinarily dangerous for our national security.
Yeah, I guess at this point, all we can do is surmise where those documents went. I mean, what seems like the most likely explanation? I know that we're treading on shaky ground because I guess the only person who can really say is Trump and or investigators who've looked into this. But what's the most likely explanation as to why there are empty classified documents?
So the ground under our feet might have become a little firmer in the last 60 minutes or so, because the reporting just broke that a Russian oligarch by the name of Viktor Veskelberg has right now, as we speak, the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security are searching his New York and Florida properties, and they are seen carrying boxes out of those properties. Do we know whether that's related to this morning's revelation that Donald Trump had empty classified documents folders? We don't. Might be pure coincidence, but I think we have to wait and see. You know, I hate to speculate, but it seems to me that Donald Trump very likely exploited those documents in some way for his own benefit, whether that was financial, whether it was for blackmail, whether it was to leverage future business deals he might have in other countries. I think we're going to begin to learn more about that, but I've talked to some national security folk who were able to answer questions that I had, like, if you have an empty folder with a classified banner on it, might you be able to tell what that folder used to contain? And I was told, yes, we do have ways to figure that out. And Brian, I had a TS-SCI clearance when I was an Army prosecutor handling an espionage case out of Desert Storm. And can I tell you, that scared the bejesus out of me. I didn't want to say or do or touch something I shouldn't. I was super careful, but you know, this is as potentially dangerous and damaging as it gets to our nation.
Just as a quick aside, what's the punishment for any other person other than Donald Trump if they were found to have had been in possession of documents like these?
Prison, a prompt arrest, a prompt indictment, a prompt prosecution, probably a guilty plea, which is how most of these cases involving mishandling of government classified materials, you know, play out. People typically will plead guilty, and the government will debrief them out the wazoo to make sure we know everything that might result in damage to our national security. But we can use the concrete example of a Department of Defense executive assistant named Asia Janae Lavarello, who was serving in Hawaii with the federal government, mishandled a secret document, and also failed to transmit some handwritten notes she had taken, that she was authorized to take, at a meeting at which classified information was discussed. She failed to transport her notes in a secure diplomatic pouch. This year, she was put in prison for 3 years. Donald Trump has a tea time tomorrow after doing 1 million times more by way of criminal conduct and potential damage to our national security than Miss Lavarello did.
But still, he's the most persecuted person in history. So
he is actually the most investigated and least prosecuted person in the history of our nation.
So there are two statutes at play here. There's the Presidential Records Act, which really has no enforcement mechanism. And then there's the Espionage Act, which has some pretty major penalties that go along with it. Can you speak about the differences here and how those things apply in this situation?
Yeah, so the Presidential Records Act, as you say, has no teeth. There are lots of laws on the books that are basically guidelines for how federal government employees and officers should operate. Actually,
like the Hatch Act, for example.
The Hatch Act has no teeth. You can, receive a slap on the wrist if you violate the Hatch Act. That is, if you engage in political activity as a government employee, because that's prohibited. You may even get, a letter of condemnation in your permanent file. but it doesn't really have any teeth to it. But the Espionage Act provisions sure do. And under 18 USC 793, it sure seems like Donald Trump has mishandled national defense information. The reason I say it seems like he has violated that statute is because that's one of the statutes cited in the search warrant for which the judge found there was probable cause to believe that statute had been violated and that there was evidence of that crime on the property of Mar-a-Lago.
Now, what is Trump facing here? Like, give me the spectrum of punishments that we could see, and from best in his case to worst, and also what you think is most likely.
For openers, Donald Trump is facing 20 years in prison, and here's why. One of the 3 federal statutes listed in the search warrant is obstructing an official investigation or an official proceeding. And that one is a laydown winner for the government. I don't say that lightly or cavalierly because there's no such thing as a bulletproof case. Prosecutors can lose any case, or a jury can hang in any case that we choose to prosecute. But Donald Trump was subpoenaed to turn over the additional materials he had at Mar-a-Lago, and he flat out refused. And then we had to get federal prosecutors had to get a search warrant. They went in there and they found a veritable mountain of documents that were responsive to the subpoena. That is a fairly easy obstruction case to prove. That carries with it 20 years in prison. Potentially, that's the maximum punishment. So for openers, that's a relatively easy charge to prove on the facts as we know them.
What happens to Trump's attorney who signed that sworn statement attesting that all those classified documents that were held at Mar-a-Lago had already been returned? Like, does she get disbarred, or could she actually face legal punishment herself?
The answer is yes. Both of those things are in play. First of
all, answer your friend Colin what she asked.
James, how you doing?
No, not that one. This one here. Have you received my response to your question about a friend may want to check your phone? Our friend, check your phone.
I don't know, bro. Whatever. James, well, what do you think about? I know you're not a Trump guy, and obviously I'm not a registered for any party,
Neither am I.
But I go very, very conservative and maybe even far right, right? And I make no apologies for that, but with respect. But just listening to that guy, what's your views? You posted up that.
Well, if he did it, I mean, any politician, regardless of their affiliation, is capable of the same sins as the next man. Corruption. There's lots of corruption in the Democrat Party, and the 2 major parties. I don't want to have anything to do with any of the 2 major parties.
Yeah, as I said, James, I'm not registered for anybody, but like I just said there now, I lean very to the right and maybe even far right. Very, very, very conservative. Because I've lived my life in the past. And I know some of the fuck ups that I made in my life in the past, and that's what makes me now is a 48-year-old man. I sit and I think, what, I should have done things a little bit differently, and that's what makes me that's what gives me and makes me who I am this day. Not everybody agrees with it. Not everybody even wants to talk with me. Not everybody wants to even have me on their channel. But
the thing is that a person's ability to make the right decisions in life and being able to tell right from wrong has to do with their upbringing. If they had a good upbringing, then they're going to say, please and thank you and
the pros and cons,
and have manners and be appreciative of those that do nice things for them. And
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, they're
And
going to be like that. They're going to be like that, and
yeah,
those people are pretty good at making moral decisions and knowing right from wrong. I mean, um, it's like what some of the commentators made about Ukraine, and just sending billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine. And we have so many people in need here.
yeah. Exactly. Let's look after our own, right? Although United States, we can be the watchmen for the world, but no, everything starts at home. It's just like the family. Everything starts at home, right?
Well, charity begins at home. They used to tell me when I
Yeah,
was a kid.
exactly. And like everybody's sympathizing with this Zelensky guy. He's a fucking crook. He's a crook.
Well,
Ukraine. That's my opinion, right? And what people don't really understand, and everybody's slamming down Vladimir Putin. I'm not saying he's a good guy at all, not for 1 second, but he is the stopping block between the new world order. He's the stopping block. Look what's going on around us, right? And it's something that's got to be thought about a lot more deeply and spiritually than what we're all thinking. And again, I emphasize and I stress, I'm not saying Vladimir Putin's a good guy, not at all. But he's a stopping block for the new world order. Just watch now, that Queen of England, she kicked the bucket, right? King Charles, right? He's coming in there now. What's King Charles all about? Fucking global warming, all about climate change. It's a real deep topic, and not a lot of people grasp it.
Well, the Earth is in trouble.
Big time, brother.
I mean, the poles are melting. Satellite imagery shows how they're shrinking.
No, the Earth is in trouble because they've lost God. That's why the Earth's in trouble. Forget about the fucking ice caps. Forget about the woolly mammoth.
Yeah,
because
the sea
they've
level.
lost God. They've lost God in the family. God has been taken out of the family. And I'm not here Bible bashing, James, as much as me or more than me. But they've taken God out of the family, and that's the problem. When they're cutting off young boys' testicles up in Boston, and because the young boy wants to play with a doll, right? And when they're giving these drugs, the young boys and young girls, these hormone drugs, they mess them all up. There's a problem, James. We've got a problem, brother. We have a serious problem, and it's called the serious problem. It's called the devil. It's called the devil because he does exist. He does exist, and people gotta wake up. People gotta wake up. Sorry, bro. Let me grab a beer. I'll be right back. Sorry, James.
I want to tell you. I want to tell you a personal story because based on what you told me before, I want to tell you something. Go get your beer.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm back. I just grabbed a beer. I don't have to walk too far to grab a beer, thankfully. Good to see you, James. It's been a month or two, so yeah, great to see you.
Yeah. Before I go on, I only have 3 more videos to cover, but I'll tell you. Hold on. Okay. All right. Now, about a week ago, I had to call this medical center. I had to make an appointment. Two different medical what the hell you call websites or organizations. All right. The girl gets on the phone. All right. I make my appointment, and she says to me after the appointment was made, and she had all the information of that necessary information for my account, insurance, and blah blah blah. she says to me, I have some questions I need to ask you, and they may be sensitive, and you don't have to answer them. I says, yeah. She says, when you were born, what gender were you assigned to? I said, what do you mean? Well, what was I assigned to? I was born a male. What do you mean? What gender I was assigned to? And how is that relevant with me making an appointment to have a medical procedure? You know, a scan with a high tech scanning device. Why does that matter? If I says, you see my name, James P. Madonna, so you should assume I'm a male, but as a patient, why does that even matter whether I'm a male or female? I'm a patient with insurance, and my visit will be paid for. And whether I'm male or female, the same procedure is done to anybody who is a human being that goes to the medical center. So why is it important? She says, well, are you male, female? Are you transgender? And I says, well, then again, why is it relevant? Why? I says, I'm male. I was born with male genitalia, therefore, ipso facto ergo, I am a male. Okay, I should have said to her, I came from the Andromeda galaxy, or I'm a Klingon or something.
You're an alpha. You're alpha.
Yeah, I mean, take me to your leader. Take me to your leader. Beep, 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 beep. So, and then this other medical organization, I filled out information on my own. Nobody talked to me. I'm check marking boxes. And I noticed under race and ethnicity, the words white and Caucasian were not there. They were gone. And it had every single indigenous people, tribe from every corner of the planet Earth. It had every race except Caucasian. So I didn't know what to classify myself under. What am I going to say? I mean, I'm a Caucasian male, but Caucasian wasn't there. I'm a white. You can call me white. You can call me. It wasn't there. It was. It's like something. It's like something that we should be ashamed of.
Right. That's the woke theology these days. That's what they want us to think. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No. That's it. I mean, as a far left progressive, I noticed something's wrong with this picture. Something is wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't classify myself what I am. I am what I am, like Popeye used to say, and it's all that I am. What am I going to put down? I'm an Inuit. I'm an Eskimo. I'm extraterrestrial. I mean, I had every corner of the world, every indigenous tribe that ever existed was on this list.
Right.
List.
Hey, Codio. What's up, Codio? That's a good friend of mine, Codio.
Hey, Codio.
I told him about your channel. Yeah, he's a good chap. He's up in I think he's in Washington State. Yeah.
Oh, where Jason Cleveland is from.
He's right up with Jason.
He's from Washington State. They have a lot of very lovely craft breweries in the Pacific Northwest, and also Washington has many wonderful hard ciders. I know they drink hard cider by where you're from.
I haven't had a cider for a long time. You know what? There was somebody I was chatting with last night. James, and they were having a few ciders. And I said, you know what? Maybe next weekend, after I get through a grueling week of work, I'm gonna buy in a couple of ciders. I'll have the old Total Wine, get on a couple of ciders.
I know in what happened was Jason sent me a big box of all the local brewery products in outside of Seattle, in that region of Washington, and including hard ciders that are usually available in his area. And I like the dry one. The dry one.
Yeah, me too, James. The dry one. Yep.
Yeah, I love the dry one. It's like the reason why I like dry champagne better than the sweet version.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but they're good, and they're all different ones that are flavored just like the craft beers.
Yeah.
And the ciders, some of them have a decent alcohol content, and
they're pretty good.
But the nationally advertised hard ciders, I like Woodchuck and Angry Orchard.
Mm-hmm.
I find them to be too sweet.
Yeah.
Compared to some of the ones that Jason sent me.
Yeah. No, I'm like you. Just going back on what you said, the dry cider. That's what I was used to growing up, and as I said, I'll pick some up this week, just based on this conversation, because it's just reignited.
Yeah, I mean, I've had Magners. I've had the Irish Magners.
Magners is good. Magners is pretty good.
Well, I've had the English Woodpecker
right?
hard cider, and
Strongbow is all right.
And they mix it with ale. Some people mix.
Oh, snake bites.
Yeah,
yeah.
There was the guy was mixing Boddington's English ale with Woodpecker, and he called it a snake bite.
Yeah, that's fucking dynamite.
Yeah, Colin is. You're in Virginia, right? Near
northeastern Virginia. Yeah,
like near Alexandria, right?
A little further out. I used to be, James, real close to that area because that's where I used to run my routes. But now I'm more on the Maryland side, but still in northwestern Virginia. So I'm like 5 miles from Harper's Ferry.
Oh.
About an hour from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So
is there a town called Dinglesbury, or just Harper's Ferry? Dinglesbury.
Dingleberry.
Now, where is the CIA? Is that like Langley Falls or something like that?
Yeah, right out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tab cracked me up. He says big corporate beers, I guess he's talking about macros, are better because they have high levels of pesticide. Yeah, preservatives too. They, I get heartburn every time I drink a macro, except for the Canadian beers and Modelo.
Yeah.
And Mexican beers don't get me sick.
Modelo's good. Modelo's good.
Yeah.
My ex, anytime her uncle used to throw big parties, and they were from Bolivia.
Yeah.
They always drank the Mexican beer, Modelo. And anytime we used to head over, the Modelo was like flowing like candies, and that's all I drank. But no, it's a good beer. I like a Modelo.
Yeah, Modelo Especial,
Dos Equis even
Negro Modelo, the Dos Equis Ambar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't like Donald Trump?
James, no, that wasn't me. I was starting at the beginning of.
No, I heard something. 2 seconds.
You know who's annoying? That what is his name? Mike Lindell from My Pillow.
Donald Trump, buddy. My quilt, my duvet,
my quilt, my dildo, my You know how you make your own My Pillow? I made one for the living room. You go on Amazon and you order what they call egg crate style memory foam. Egg crate. And then when you get the egg crate style memory foam, you fold it and you stuff a pillowcase with it, and you have yourself the best pillow you'll ever lay on, and it won't cost you $100 for like Mike Lindell's My Pillow. It won't cost you. It'll be a fraction of that. You know what I mean? Jelly bean?
You got to give the guy a bit of credit, because, well, nobody has to, but like from where the guy came from, it's like we all have our stories in life, right? But from where the guy came from, apparently, he was a massive coke addict, or I don't know, maybe even worse, maybe heroin or whatever, and he pulled it around. Now he's a billionaire.
In Minnesota, he was really an addict.
Apparently, I just listened to his testimony, and I take it at face value,
Well, it must be true because nobody would admit something like that about themselves, so it has to be true.
But yeah, that's what he said, and that's what he talked about, and he pulled himself out of it, and he created a company, and now he's a billionaire.
Yeah, well, you know what? He hit rock bottom. He might have even went below rock bottom.
Sometimes that's what it takes for us all in all stages of life,
Yeah, because there's no other option but up.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Exactly, James. But you're buying on, but unfortunately, I know an old schoolmate, back in Ireland I went to school with, and he was a real intelligent guy. And he get fucking fixed on the booze. And he hit rock bottom. And thankfully, he still had his mother and father behind him. He'd been to America, been to England, and they pulled him out of it. And for anybody that's interested in his story and some of the videos he puts up there, I'm not promoting this guy because I haven't spoken to him in 35 years. I don't even fucking have him on an email. It's Gavin Patton on YouTube. Just look up Gavin Patton Films. James, just for yourself, just for me. The guy puts up some really deep stuff up there. And as I said, I haven't spoken to him in fucking decades. He wouldn't even know me if he passed me in the street, even though we went to school when we were teenagers. But sorry, not going off topic, but just kind of relating to the Mike Lindell thing. Yeah, where we're kind of going, Sorry.
Well, I that's something to be proud of. If someone was really destitute or at the end of their rope, and they pulled themselves up by the bootstraps and did this. I mean, he has the right to go into business and charge $100 for his pillows. No, nobody's holding a gun to anyone's head to buy them, and good for him. But I want to read this. Yeah. I want to read this because this is okay. This proves my point. When I tell all those macro American beer, nationally advertised macro American beer guzzling rednecks out there, listen, the chemist at Budweiser in Jacksonville said they use a formaldehyde-like substance in all their products. So soak in this knowledge. This is only one toxin. That's pretty serious. Thank you, Tab. Thank you for sharing this information. And let's see.
Tab. Codio, Tab, fair play.
Everybody.
Donald Trump's lawyers do not want to disclose which Mar-a-Lago documents, which he had taken from the White House and kept in his home, had been declassified. And as you guys can recall, Donald Trump claimed that those top secret and classified documents that he was keeping at Mar-a-Lago had already been declassified by Trump. He had done that, so he hadn't done anything wrong. Now, there is a special master involved, an individual, a third party, who Trump wanted to review all the documents to determine what is and is not protected under attorney-client privilege or executive privilege. He got what he wanted. Special master's there, he's reviewing the documents, but he had a request that Trump's lawyers didn't like, because if they fulfill that request, it might indicate that Trump engaged in criminality. So let me give you the details. Trump's legal team objected to what it said was Judge Raymond J. Deary's request that it disclose specific information regarding declassification to the court and to the government. Now, if you do that, you can't just lie, right? You're submitting documents, you're submitting statements to the court. You have to tell the truth. And the truth is, Trump didn't declassify anything. And so Trump's lawyers expressed concern. They expressed concern, Cenk, that Deary posed questions about the documents that the judge who appointed Deary has left unasked, arguing that Trump might be left at a legal disadvantage if he answered them at this stage of the process. The whole point of the special master was to delay the investigation, and that's working for now. But they didn't expect Deary to ask Trump, or his attorneys, more importantly, to, provide some information in regard to what he allegedly declassified.
Yeah. No, this is spectacular. So the special master is blowing up in Trump's face, if you will. So when Judge Deary was immediately picked and agreed to by both sides, Department of Justice and Trump, I said, well, somebody's making a mistake, okay? And Democrats and bureaucrats have been totally incompetent in pursuing Trump. So I thought, like, they could be making a mistake easily. They could be like, oh, sure, let's agree to any right-wing judge, who cares, right? Or Trump's a moron and he could be making the mistake. Well, the jury's in now. It was Trump. He made the mistake and he's reeling now. So I'm gonna explain one thing that's crucial in this story.
Yes, okay, so, and there is an update to it that you might not have seen yet, Cenk, but let me give you a few more details. So in Monday's filing, Trump's lawyers wrote that they don't want Deary to force Trump to fully and specifically disclose a defense to the merits of any subsequent indictment without such a requirement being evident in the district court's order. A remarkable statement that acknowledges at least the possibility that the former president or his aides could be criminally charged. Okay, so what is the response to Trump's team of lawyers from this special master, from Judge Deary? Well, he responded to them saying, quote, if the government gives me prima facie evidence that they are classified documents and you don't advance any claim of declassification, I'm left with a prima facie case of classified documents. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the end of it.
Yeah, okay, that's further devastation. So first of all, whenever I wanna get my wife hot, I say prima facie. So that's one of the few legal words I remember from law school, and she thinks that's like, whoa, okay. So, but don't make me get into Ray Ipsa liquidor. So, what it means, though, and it's kind of an awkward meaning, is on its face. So, what the judge is saying is, on its face, it says classified, right? So, in order for me to get past the prima facie evidence here, you have to show me that it is not classified. You have to, at the very, very minimum, you have to argue that it is not classified. And how would you argue that? You would say that you declassified it. In fact, you've been saying that on television and everywhere else, that you magically declassified them. So the judge is doing the bare basics here, don't get me wrong. He's just saying, hey, in order for me to judge this case, I have to know which of the documents are classified and which are not. Because the government is saying if it's classified, it's obviously on its face, not Trump's property, it's the government's property because the government classified it. In order for you to tell me otherwise, you have to say, no, I declassified it.
Right.
Okay, so show me where and how you declassified it. And Trump's lawyers are going, we don't want to show you that now. because that might be one of our defenses if we get indicted. We don't know if it's one of our defenses. You didn't plan this out. Jesus Christ, you guys. Okay, as usual, blithering idiots. You walk right into that trap, but the thing is, it wasn't the Department of Justice that set the trap. It was you who set the trap. You carefully laid out all the twigs and stuff, and boom, somebody steps here, and boom, you step right into it. You asked for the special master. The special master, obviously, one piece of logic tells you, is going to ask you, are they classified or not? And then you're stuck. Idiot.
This is a broader point, and it applies to other lawyers who have worked on behalf of the Trump campaign or Trump himself. I feel like we've all been lied to our entire lives. I was led to believe that going to law school, passing law school, and then passing the bar was challenging. Like you had to have two brain cells to rub together to make that happen. Now, I haven't gone to law school, to be fair, but were we lied to, Uger?
Well, first of all, I make that claim all the time. I actually don't think it's that hard to become a lawyer at all. And everybody's like, oh, okay, all right, maybe not. Okay, have you seen a lot of lawyers? I've seen a lot of lawyers.
I've seen enough, that's for sure.
But to be fair to lawyers in general, Trump is at the very bottom of the barrel for two reasons. One, he constantly asks his lawyers to break the law, and he did in this case. And they signed a document saying he didn't have any more classified documents, and it turns out he had 100 of them. He had over 100 of them. So now they're in legal trouble. That's why smart lawyers or average lawyers or well below average lawyers still don't take Trump as a client. The second reason is he never pays his lawyers. He thinks they're suckers and losers. Well, why don't you just give me the legal help, and then I know I stiff you, like I stiff everybody, right? So that's why he's at dumbass number one and dumbass number two, the worst lawyers in America. And even if he had good lawyers, he wouldn't listen to them because the original dumbass is Donald Trump.
Well, we'll see how this all plays out. But it is incredible that you now have Trump's lawyers pushing back against the special master that they demanded, that they wanted, that a federal judge broke precedent to install in this investigation. So we'll see how this all plays out. It's pretty laughable, but it's amazing. Even with all that incompetence, Trump tends to get away with a lot. So we'll see. We'll see if this actually leads to an indictment.
When Ivanka was getting married, Donald Trump stiffed the caterers because he didn't like the way the food tasted. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it.
Do you believe, James? Do you believe what those two people were actually talking about?
Yeah.
I
believe he's well, and Rudy Giuliani has lost his mind. He's out of his mind. You just you have to pay attention to what comes out of their mouths for the past 4 years.
But you also got to look at the reality that they're speaking about. I don't know how you can say Rudy Giuliani. No, I'm not arguing with you, but I don't know how you can say Rudy Giuliani has lost his mind. We've all gotten over the fact that the 2020 election was stolen, right? It was a fucking ripoff, right? But they say that Rudy Giuliani, somebody that we adhered to after the 9/11 attacks, he was the mayor of New York.
Well, so, they proved it. They Do you not think, James? Do you not think it's a witch hunt? It's a witch hunt. It's a well-documented and publicized phrase. It's a witch hunt. They proved that the election was legitimate, and no, it wasn't legitimate, James. You know yourself in your heart, it wasn't legitimate. Whether you like Trump, you hate Trump, you know in your heart, even if it was somebody else, we all can tell right from wrong, right? Well, if a Republican won fair and square, it's may the best man win. Yeah, and if a Democrat won, I would say they won also. It is what it is. I mean, I know the Republicans believe very passionately about capitalism, and I think capitalism is the devil's economics. But that's my
So,
take on it.
so James, okay, you're saying that, but would you prefer like a socialist economy?
Uh,
Socialist in diet communism?
I admire very strongly of the government they have in the Scandinavian countries. The democratic socialism, I think, is the closest thing to a perfect system, because they take care of their people, yet they allow capitalism to take place, but the rich pay their fair share in taxes, and the people are taken care of. You know,
James,
that's the closest thing to God's economics as far.
no, James, and that's what we're losing, James. We're losing that anchor, and that anchor is God.
Well, what kind of God are we talking about? The God of the Bible says to help, to give to the poor and help the poor.
James, there only is one God. And whether there's Muslims out there or anybody listening, there only is one God, and his name's Jesus Christ. Right?
Well, what did Jesus say?
That's what we're losing.
Well,
That's what we're losing.
Well, you heard what Jesus said in the New Testament.
Do you think Jesus would approve of all the stuff that's going on now, like the killing of the unborn?
No, he
the
won't. No, he
the
won't.
mutilation of children, the break up marriages. You know,
Nope.
do you think he would approve of all that?
Okay, I'm going to agree with you about a topic that I've discussed many times.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool.
And I
I'm
think,
not arguing with you. I'm just discussing with you.
and 9 times out of 10, I think you're going to feel strongly about it also. I believe that the feminist movement and with their sexual revolution.
Margaret Sanger, you take it way back, brother. Go ahead.
We're going to go way back.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go even before Helen Gurley Brown's Cosmopolitan magazine, Betty Friedan, Bella Abzug. They were all
Deliver it, brother. I like to be here to get educated.
What the hell's their name? Yeah, they were all ugly as hell. I mean, no men hit on them, I'm sure. Yeah, all of them. Okay, now we know that lobbying group in reality were man-hating lesbians.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's my take. And they publicly functioned under the disguise of feminism, female power, whatever you want to call it, women's rights. You know, look, I have no problem with women voting, suffrage. I mean, that was honest. I mean, there's nothing wrong. Yeah, they're citizens. They're members of society, just like we are. They have a right to vote. Now, that whole feminist movement made women, traditional women that wanted to get married, devote themselves to a husband, have a family, and be a stay-at-home homemaker, they made them feel guilty about doing that, like it was bad, that like they felt embarrassed if they admitted that's what they wanted. Okay, so the feminists told women, you have to put family on the back burner, forget about the husband and the children, get a career. Everything was about career. So women did that, and that created the modern day woman of today, who wouldn't give the sweat off her brow to her boyfriend or husband. They would not show any devotion to a husband or taking care of a family, and they are very selfish, very self-serving, self-centered.
That's modern day society, James.
And that has sabotaged. sabotaged the today's heterosexual relationships and the dating scene, the traditional dating scene where a straight man and a straight woman would meet and start dating and develop a relationship and possibly get married and so on and so forth. This feminist movement sabotaged the traditional relationship. Anyway, I know I was long-winded.
No, you're good. You're good. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting what you speak about. You know, but you know, if any man, you know, I'm not saying I'm all for women, right? You know, and I'm not saying, you know, women get out, if you want to have a career, this, that, and the other. But if any man, and I hold myself guilty to this in my past, if any man is worth a salt, your wife shouldn't need to work. You know, yeah, well, sure. If you're in a low income company, it's good that two are working, they make it together. Absolutely.
We should also
on the larger scale, you know, like my wife always worked, you know what I mean? And I worked too. We both busted our fucking nuts, you know what I mean? But you know, it all comes down, you know, the man is the protector of the family, you know, both physically and spiritually. Right?
Yeah.
The man is the family.
But when a couple goes to work with a man and the woman, the husband and the wife, quite often they do it because they have to. You know? I mean, if a man is a high income and he's sort of financially independent and he can
if I'm only earning like 45,000-50,000 a year, sure, my wife's got to fucking pull the weight as well, especially if we got kids, you know what I mean? But if somebody's earning over 100K a year, you got to take care of your missus.
You got to do what you got to do. I mean,
exactly, brother. Yeah. No, I hear you.
This, I was really shocked that. Well, first of all, Joe Biden makes a lot of bloopers when he speaks publicly.
Consistent
bloopers, like the other night, he was speaking publicly, and he was
calling out for that girl in Wisconsin, and she's dead.
Yeah, she was in the room. The woman who got killed in a car accident.
Yeah, Jackie. Where's Jackie? Where's Jackie?
She got killed, and then he realized, oh, I'm sorry, like he was sorry. Now this one, he made a contradictory, stupid statement.
Over the weekend, 60 Minutes aired an interview they had with President Joe Biden. And in the context of that interview, he felt the need to declare that the coronavirus pandemic is over. Now, he was speaking to Scott Pelley, and he said the following, quote, "The pandemic is over. The pandemic is over. We still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work on it, but the pandemic is over." Now, he qualified the statement about the pandemic being over by saying that they're still doing a lot of work on it. But I want to remind you all that the federal government has certainly taken a step back from providing any type of aid to ordinary Americans, especially when it comes to testing. They're no longer sending free tests to people. Individuals who have no private insurance are very likely going to pay for vaccinations and boosters out of pocket. So to say that they're doing a lot of work is interesting because I don't know what he was referring to there. Even the CDC, in regard to the data that they're releasing, says that they're going to be scaling back considerably. Now, Biden pointed to maskless attendees at the Detroit Auto Show, where the interview was conducted, to make his case. And he says, if you notice, no one's wearing masks. Everybody seems to be in pretty good shape. And so I think it's changing, and I think this is a perfect example of it.
Yeah, right.
Now, that led to a lot of backlash from progressives, including Mehdi Hassan, who says one of the many reasons they're not wearing masks is because people like Biden keep falsely telling them the pandemic is over. I just want to give you one more point of criticism. Biden is saying the pandemic is over as transmission rates stay high, as Americans with long COVID outnumber immunocompromised Americans, as 4 million workers are sick, as at-risk people scream for safe access, transportation, and education. Make this make sense to me. And she does have a point, especially when you look at the number of Americans who are still dying from COVID, an average of 400 people a day. And I'm happy to get into that data with more detail in just a moment. But Cenk, I wanted you to jump in and share your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm really conflicted about this one. I don't think it's straightforward at all. In fact, to the point where we have a poll on it, I know that the poll lacks subtlety. But hear us out and then vote on it. We'll put the link down below in the description box on YouTube and Facebook. It's at tyt.com/polls. Is COVID-19 pandemic over? Yes or no? Look, the part of the reason I mentioned the poll firsthand is because, with all the nuance notwithstanding, if I'm going to vote on that poll, I vote yes, it's over. So now let me explain. As I said earlier in the show on a different story, Biden is partly doing this to appease business interests. They want to be able to take away your sick days and all that, right? So I'm not unaware of that, and I don't like that, right? But at the same time, COVID is not over, but the pandemic portion is over. So, you know, if you've got a pre-existing condition or you're older, et cetera, and there's good reasons why you want to wear a mask, bless your heart. And if you ask me to wear a mask around you, I'll do it in a second. Happy to do it, okay? But otherwise, what are we going to do? Are we going to still quarantine? Are we going to still wear a mask around even if we don't have any symptoms? No, of course not. That's absurd. And I think it's pretty close to the flu now, and we don't do that for the flu.
It's not.
Okay, all right. So
yeah.
So give us the facts.
Yeah. I looked into the data because, Cenk, just to be clear about where I stood, I mean, I thought that the number of people dying from coronavirus was pretty low, right? I thought maybe it's comparable to the number of people dying from like the common flu. If you believe that, you would be mistaken. So I specifically looked at CDC data. I wanted to compare data from the same organization, and they put out numbers in regard to people dying from the flu in the United States. And they looked at October 1st, 2021 through June 11th of 2022. And these are preliminary numbers. It's important to keep that in mind because as you can see, the number of flu deaths in this fiscal year is 5,000 to 14,000. So they're still looking over the data to determine what the exact number is, but that's the ballpark, right? Then I looked at the CDC data specifically for COVID deaths in the exact same period. And here's what we know. In that same period, there was a whopping 312,117 Americans who died from COVID, according to the CDC. So compare more than 300,000 Americans dying from COVID to, let's give it the highest estimate, 14,000 Americans dying from the common flu.
So that's a really good fact, and it's interesting, and it gives you good context. And overall, it does go a long way towards convincing me that we're not at the flu stage yet. But it has two giant holes in it. Number one, it's over a period of years where COVID was ranging. It's not talking about today, right? So if you had 5 to 14,000 flu deaths, right, stretching all the way back into the middle of 21 to the middle of 22, yeah, of course the COVID deaths would be way, way higher, right? And then secondly, it also doesn't take into account the jackasses that aren't taking the vaccine, which are the great majority of the people who are dying. So if you want me to wear a mask while you're not taking a vaccine or wearing a mask, my answer is a super hard no.
Yeah, look, I get it, and I understand the frustration. To me, it's not even about whether you wear a mask or not, right? I have no problem wearing a mask if I'm asked to wear it because I want people to feel safe, even if it's people who are being annoyingly stubborn and refusing to get the vaccine.
Oh my God. Yeah, let's fucking jab ourselves up.
Taking a massive step back and pretending as if there's nothing going on, like everything's back to normal when it's not. And people need resources in order to, we want to encourage people to keep getting tested. And people are not going to go out of their way and spend their limited resources on tests if they have to pay for them out of pocket. I'm concerned about the federal government backing off of providing that resource. I'm also concerned about the federal government completely backing off of providing compensation for the vaccine. So individuals who do not have private insurance won't have coverage, and they'd have to pay for the vaccine out of pocket. And so if you think it was already difficult to persuade people to get vaccinated and boosted, it's going to be even more difficult to do it. And you're right, Cenk. What is the motivating factor here? And at the end of the day, I think it's politics, and it's to help Biden's corporate buddies out, and that's not okay.
It's a new world order, daughter. James, I've never taken any fucking vaccine or anything. I'll never ever put anything like that into my system.
Yeah, but do you realize? You ever see what post-polio syndrome does to a person?
Yeah.
Vaccines.
James, right in Ireland, polio was fucking, rabbit back in the days.
The smallpox. There were diseases that used to wipe the Spanish flu, cholera. Yellow fever.
This is what they say, and everybody's so engulfed in the media and what the media projects, and about all these millions of people, right? Yeah, people died, right? Because they got this Wuhan virus, right? Brother, when my time comes, it's God's call, right? I will not be fooled by any of that. I have never put an injection into my arm except for my natural tetanus or the old BCG in the side of the arm, what they used to call it back in the UK years ago. Nah, bro, I won't be fooled with it. They'll have to strap me down to put an injection into me. And that's just who I am. Maybe I'm stubborn. And a lot of people. Exactly.
But the vaccines have been proven over the course of history to definitely work, and they'll save your ass. But you have a right not to take it. If you don't want to get it, don't get it.
I ride the storm, brother. I ride the storm. You know what I mean? When my time comes, it comes. I'm not gonna be like a scared rabbit, like a lot of people, and God bless them. A lot of people, they just shit their pants, and they listen to too much to CNN. They listen too much to Fox. They listen too much to this fucking media. Put your faith in Christ. Put your faith in God.
You could be taken out by a bolt of lightning.
Exactly. Look at that.
But the thing is, you don't want to increase your odds of being taken out. You have to live sensibly and use common sense.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm increasing my odds of being taken out by anything like that. There, no, man. As you know, your ancestors, my ancestors, all grew up in a much tougher place than what we live in now. You know what I mean? When there was nothing.
Well, the mortality rate during the Middle Ages, mortality rate was high. The average age of a human wasn't that high either. In general, the birth rate, a lot of babies, and sometimes the mothers didn't make it in childbirth, and you had to go take a piss and a shit outside in the outhouse, and you didn't have running water, and you didn't have electricity, and you didn't have the internet, internet, you didn't have television.
I made my grandfather tell me in Ireland, he lived in Derry, Roswell Street, Derry City, and he said, they did an outside toilet. You know,
King
all
Henry,
four seasons.
King Henry VIII, he had to drink ale. They couldn't drink. They're in the Middle Ages. They couldn't drink the municipal water because it was contaminated. So they had to drink fermented beverages because the fermentation process killed off any of the pathogens, and they had to do it. And life was extremely tough back in the day.
Look at him. He died with syphilis.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, even in the the turn of the century.
What about this? What's your thoughts on this new Italian prime minister? She's very conservative, so I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on it.
I'm not familiar. I really don't follow European politics. I really am not familiar with her.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
Next time. Yeah, check her out. She's pretty staunch. She's pretty staunch. I'm not categorizing you in this, obviously, but the radical left call her like the new Mussolini. They call her a fascist. But she's all about God, family. She's about God and family.
Well, you know what? There's a reason why the founding fathers wanted to keep church and state separated, because, the secular world is based on science and what is proven, and religion is based on faith. So there's nothing proven about religion. The right wing won Sweden too. Sweden? Oh boy.
True enough, James. But you know what? Sometimes we gotta bring it in there when things are getting out of hand. When things are getting out of hand and morals are going down the chute.
Tab
just look back to Sodom and Gomorrah. And that's not to be apocalyptic or anything, or to sound apocalyptic, but man.
Yeah, well, you know what? Tab is right.
We're walking that road.
Yeah, but you know what? There's a lot of nuts. There's a lot of nuts today. I'm telling you, there's a lot of crazy, extreme, fanatical people of different.
James, there is, but like you and I, and anybody listening, this side or the other,
I love science.
We gotta look for the changing. We gotta have the discernment to see what's happening around us, and praise be to God that we have the discernment to realize what's right and what's wrong.
Okay, now Tab made a good point. The Romans had the aqueducts. They had running water. They had clean water, and medieval Europe fucked it up. You're absolutely right, Tab. That was a very good point.
The problem with the aqueducts years ago is the Romans were all dying with lead poisoning, because that's what they made the aqueducts out of. They made them out of lead.
Oh,
and they were all covering with lead poisoning.
Oh, I thought it was.
Yeah, obviously they changed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, lead is toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All
right, this is the last one, the last of the Mohicans. The last. You know what? I think it's ridiculous. If I was a Cleveland resident, I would not support the Cleveland Guardians. They took that cute cartoon face with the big smiling Native American. They took the logo off. The Cleveland 75-year-old team.
Yeah.
No, it was older than that. I think it was turn of the
Hey,
century.
James, the Redskins will always be the Redskins to me.
Now, look what they have now. They got a stupid, boring W on the side of the helmet. And what do they call it? The Washington football team or something?
Oh, went from that to the Commanders.
The Commanders?
That's what they call them now. But the Redskins will always be the Redskins to me. And many other people too.
It's tradition, and not only that. Listen, I'm sure people that used to go to Redskin football games and Cleveland Indian baseball games, I'm sure they didn't have racist thoughts in their mind.
Not at all. Not at all.
Not at all. You know,
Absolutely, James. I agree.
it's insane.
500%.
You know, they took Uncle Ben off the box of rice. They took Aunt Jemima off the
Leyland Lakes, the butter.
Yeah, the Indians, very attractive young Indian squaw. They took her off the Land of Lakes.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. You know, everybody is so thin-skinned today. We have to walk on eggshells all the time.
Exactly. Hey, Tab, fair play to you, Tab play to your friend. Yeah, and he's Cherokee. Yeah. Second time I came to America in the year 2000, I dated a girl for a long time, and she was a full-blown Cherokee. Yeah, beautiful girl.
Remember, you just picture the old logo of the Washington Redskins. That was a very complimentary image of a Native American man on the side of the football helmet. There was nothing negative about that.
Exactly, James. And just like you said there, no, James.
That would have
nobody was even thinking about it. Nobody was even thinking. Right?
Stupid W on the side now. It's ridiculous. You know, unbelievable.
So the more we learn about Ron DeSantis's Martha's Vineyard immigrant stunt, the more we realize it was certainly immoral. It was certainly unethical. It was certainly a waste of Florida taxpayer money to send immigrants that were in Texas to an island off the coast of Massachusetts. Those things we all know. We know that it was dishonest because we have now learned that the immigrants were indeed enticed with false promises of all sorts of goodies at the end of the rainbow, for lack of a better term. But now there's a new question. And as often is the case with the very people who claim that they are all about law enforcement and due process and doing everything correctly and law and order, or law and auto, as Donald Trump has said before, it may not have been legal either. And there is a very, very good article in NPR about this on npr.org by Valerie Crowder. And I'm going to tell you some of the key points here that are now in question about whether this was legal or could it have been illegal human trafficking. So the first aspect to this is that Ron DeSantis described the flights on which the immigrants were taken to Martha's Vineyard as voluntary when he was speaking at a press conference on Friday. It appears that that was a lie. Immigration law experts say that actually what happened was the trafficking of migrants. When you lie to people to induce them to come somewhere to the US or whatever, in order for something that is not true, you are participating in what is, functionally speaking, the same type of trafficking where young girls are tricked into going wherever with the promises of whatever it is they're promised, and then they're actually forced into prostitution, as an example. The dynamic is exactly the same. And we've now learned that these immigrants were told, you're going to be flown to Boston. They weren't. They were flown to Martha's Vineyard. You'll get expedited work papers, which was not actually what was waiting for them in Martha's Vineyard. And instead what happened was churches and shelters and aid groups, as NPR writes, did the best to accommodate them on an island with an extraordinarily low population and very limited resources. Now, then we heard from a Tallahassee-based immigration attorney, Elizabeth Ricci, also quoted in this NPR article, who says there is a good faith argument to be made that when you lure migrants onto planes with false promises of jobs, you are making them victims of fraudulent human trafficking.
Yes.
Think of that. That is what the governor of Florida has potentially engaged in.
Oh, he's always been
were told, oh, you might, you're going to get this, you're going to get that. Now, here's the unbelievable part. If indeed these individuals are determined to have been the victims of fraud and human trafficking, they could automatically qualify for visas here in the United States. What Ron DeSantis may have illegally done could, we don't know yet, actually genuinely expedite these individuals to legal status here in the United States. Ricci explained, quote, an enticement like that, regardless of whether you sign a waiver, is fraud. And that's part of the definition of human trafficking. I think that everybody on those planes has a case to legalize as a direct result of being transported by the governor. Republicans will do illegal things. And if they get arrested or prosecuted, they will claim they are merely political prisoners, that they're being treated unfairly. This is what happened after the January 6th riots. The January 6th rioters, and there were hundreds of them, I think the number's up to 700 or 800, although it may even be over 1,000. They were acting criminally. And then once the law caught up with them, the claims started to be made of, well, they're not being given the right food in jail. They're being held unfairly in jail. Pretrial detention is unfair. These are victims of politics. They're being punished because of their opinion about an election. This is the move. So without a doubt, if the law starts to catch up to DeSantis and whoever else for this absurd stunt, mark my words, and you know this, I don't have to convince you of this, they will claim they are actually the victims, the people who did this, who were just trying to prove a point. Now, one other thing, there are right-wingers who think they're being really slick by saying something like the following, and there's versions of this floating around, you know? All you northern liberals talk about Texas and Florida and Arizona should just accept hundreds of thousands of migrants. And it's very easy to say from Vermont or from Massachusetts or whatever, but as soon as 50 people get to Martha's Vineyard, they are immediately deported out. Multiple things going on here. First of all, it's not a deportation when you're just flown from one state to another. That's number one. Number two, the intent of these immigrants was not to be in Martha's Vineyard. Martha's Vineyard is tiny. There's very few jobs. It's a very small economy, and it's a very seasonal economy because of tourism. And we're heading into fall and then winter, which is low season in Martha's Vineyard. There's not the real opportunity for any jobs there. There's extraordinarily limited housing, etc. So there's really not the hypocrisy that the right wants to point out. Furthermore, they were lied to in so getting to Martha's Vineyard. And as I mentioned, it was not their intent. So this hypocrisy that the right is trying to expose in talking about the Martha's Vineyard thing, it's a joke. And we shouldn't allow them to turn that around because it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. One of our longtime sponsors is Monk Pack, offering
James.
Okay.
Are you serious?
Yeah, what's
Serious, bro?
Hold on.
What's his name? Pac-Man?
Oh, Pac-Man, yeah.
He's an idiot.
Well, what about that douchebag Florida governor just sending migrants to sending them anywhere? Martha.
Yeah, but what about fucking Joe Biden not closing the border walls? That's how it all escalated.
Oh, I agree with that. Listen, I agree with that. Right now, you have patches of wall, unfinished wall. It looks like it looks like an eyesore. Yes, there are many poor people seeking political asylum, but there's also gang members and
absolutely.
Yeah,
you know,
there's
I got no problem with that there, you know, but if you look at the
criminal element here, hold on.
Yeah, look deeply into the situation. Ron DeSantis, he sent them there to send a message. It wasn't just offload people. He sent them there to send a message. Here, guys, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. You know, Donald Trump tried to close that border. He didn't get reelected because of a fucking scam, right? Whether some people agree or disagree, we all know what it is.
Now, Border Patrol has their work cut out for them because
God bless them.
I mean, you don't have criminal element and drug trafficking and human trafficking coming from Canada. Okay, we don't have any of those issues in coming.
Yeah,
from,
but James, Canada isn't our problem, although their prime minister is a fucking dickhead.
no, but
So
we don't have a criminal element coming from
Yeah.
Canada. But
Yeah.
I'm saying since there's so much criminal activity coming from south of the border.
Yeah. So now you're speaking the truth.
Right.
And that's why, whether you like them or not, that's why that border should have been secured. It's all about borders, language, and culture, right? And that's what we're founded on. That's what our country exists on. Yeah. You know, I'm an immigrant. I'm an American citizen, but I came the right way many years ago.
Right. Now what happened was the poor people coming from Central America, they were trying to escape the criminal element that was victimizing the poor citizens. So they would desperately try to leave, and a lot of them didn't make it. You know, they died because they were on foot. Okay, and seeking political asylum. Those people legally can seek political asylum in the United States, or they can do it in Mexico. But Mexico, for some reason, didn't want them, because why did Mexico, just send them on their merry way to the United States border? You notice Mexico didn't give them asylum, so they come to the United States. Okay, but there's a lot of criminal element, and for this reason, I agree with finishing the border wall. You know, Biden doesn't want to pay for COVID-19. He doesn't want to pay. He didn't want to pay for the wall, but he's got billions to send to Zelensky in the Ukraine. Finish the wall, get it over with.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah, Beto O'Rourke is fantastic, Jason. I agree with that. Republicans like the cheap labor. That's one of the reasons the border doesn't close. Well,
do you really think Beto O'Rourke is fucking good?
Oh yeah, he's gonna clean. He's gonna clean up Texas and make it a good place for people to live. He's gonna make it a good place. You're right. Republicans, business Republicans love the illegal immigrant because they're so.
I know you're being sarcastic when you say that.
They're so fucking cheap and greedy. With their evil capitalism, they love illegal immigrants working for them. Yes, you're right, Tab. You're right. That's why they don't close the border. Now, don't say that. AOC's my pride and joy, a sweetheart with the dimples. Come on. AOC says we need migrants because liberals don't have black kids and they need the votes to. She didn't say that. That's conservative propaganda.
No.
Yeah, Beto O'Rourke is
AOC is in the mold of fucking Bernie.
But look at that! Look at that scumbag they have. Hey, Abbott. He look what happened when the power grid went out in Texas. Look, if something happens and you're not rich to a Republican, you're on your own. If you die, you die. If you don't have health insurance, you die. If you don't, they won't do a fucking thing for you. That's counterfeit Christianity, and God doesn't forget.
No, James, that's wrong. That's wrong.
Oh yeah, no. There's a warm place and a lake of fire for those people. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, no, but okay. You said that, right? And as I said, I'm not Republican, right? I don't vouch for any party. I've never signed up for any party. Yeah, I support Trump. I'm very, very to the right. I've never registered for anybody. But you got to look at it all comes down to morals. Morals, it comes from the family right into society. It's all down to morals. If our morals are lost, if God's taken out of the schools, you know, and out of our society, we're done. We're fucking done, James. We're done. We cannot exist. You know, no man is greater than God. We cannot exist.
I believe in I was born a Catholic. I believe in the Bible, not the laws of man, but in the scriptures, and you know, everything from the scriptures is good in my opinion.
Yeah, well, we got to stand by it. We got to stand by it. You know what I mean? We gotta, you know, November elections are coming up now. You know, what's the main agenda? You know, I'll vote for any candidate who is pro-life. I'll vote for anybody.
I don't want to get back on the Roe versus Wade thing. Yeah, let's.
It's like what Muller. I'll let it go now after I say this, but it's like Muller Teresa said. You know, Saint Muller Teresa, without life, we have nothing. Think about it. Let it settle deeply in your heart. Without life, we have nothing.
Okay. I'm gonna poll the audience. Audience, what do you think? What do you think? Go back to the Sunday time slot, or stick with the change for Saturday night? What do you think? Saturday night, Saturday night. You know, there's a lot of songs about Saturday night. You ever notice that?
Saturday night's gonna be alright. Gonna be alright now, baby.
Yeah, I mean, if none of you people ever heard Colin McMenamin sing and play his musical instruments, that you definitely missed a treat.
Oh, yeah, we'll get it going.
Tab says Saturday. Yeah, because I'm only here now because I got out of YouTube prison this afternoon.
Oh, really? Were you?
Yeah, I was in YouTube prison for 2 weeks.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, you know how it is now with censorship on social media. They're all doing it.
Yeah.
And I was so happy to be back that I didn't want to wait until next Saturday, so I figured.
It's awesome. Good to see you, bro.
Let me go on. So next week it'll be Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
And I'll see how many people are around. Well, what did they used to say about Saturday? They used to call it date night, right?
Yeah.
What?
Saturday night at the movies. Who cares what picture we see?
Oh, wait a minute.
Dancing in a room with me.
What's a popular Irish song? Danny Boy.
Oh, Danny Boy. I'm down the mountainside. Always in the meadow.
Oh,
Danny boy, I love you so.
I blew it so hard the diaphragm came out of the kazoo. So that's without the diaphragm. trying to pick it up. Without the diaphragm, there's no sound.
Mhm.
Son of a gun. I mean, I have spare diaphragms, but what the heck? I guess it goes. Oh, I see what happens. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, excuse me. Okay. McNamara's band. Well, they do that on St. Patrick's Day, right? Hold on. Oh, it still works. Hey, it sounds
Yeah.
better. It sounds better since it fell apart. Oi. Let me see. Little Herb Alpert and the two. What was the Benny Hill song?
Yeah.
God rest his soul. May he rest in peace, Benny Hill.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah, to
Wow.
south of the border, down Mexico way. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, you know what? It's time for me to order something to be delivered. I am ready for dinner. And I'm trying to decide if I want Italian or if I want
Chinese.
Chinese. I'm always getting Chinese.
Yeah, I had Chinese the other day. I had, was it Shizan or Shizan beef?
Oh, Szechuan.
Yeah, got it extra spicy. Oh, man.
Szechuan beef. Yeah, well, Szechuan is the spicy Chinese food. Szechuan and Hunan.
It was good.
Yeah, I love Szechuan. You like You like the rice noodles like chow fun or chow mei fun?
That's my favorite combination of rice noodles.
I usually get like shrimp chow mei fun or chow fun, the wide ones. I'm sorry, shrimp chow fun, extra spicy. Also beef with black bean sauce or beef and mushrooms is good too. What else?
Good stuff.
Yeah, I can never get into shrimp and lobster sauce because it has like a very snotty consistency. You know, don't really care for that. Chow mein has no flavor. I can't eat chop suey or chow mein because it's bland. It's like chop suey. So what the hell is suey? That's a funny word.
Yeah, chop suey.
Chop suey. Chop suey. Does that mean sewage in Chinese? Suey?
I thought it was like circumcision.
Chop
Suey.
circumcisions. You know, there's a tribe. I saw it on TV. There's a tribe in Africa where the godfather of the baby has to eat the raw foreskin.
Lovely.
After the baby's circumcised, the foreskin freshly cut.
Salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper.
Oh man. No, that's oh no.
Now,
I
you know what the Argentina gaucho cowboys do when they castrate the bulls. They don't even clean it. When they castrate the bulls, they take a big long shish kebab skewer, like a metal rod, and they put the testicles on the rod, and they barbecue it over a wood fire, and that like takes all the hairs off and it roasts them, and they eat freshly roasted barbecued testicles.
Lovely.
Balls.
Oh my gosh. Can't even imagine it.
Do they do anything? I know the Scottish have haggis. Now do the Irish?
Yeah. I eat kidneys, lamb's liver. Lamb's kidneys, lamb's liver.
Oh, I love lamb. I would love to try lamb liver.
Yeah.
I think lamb.
Balls? I've never had the balls.
No, I did one time. The Americans out west call them Rocky Mountain oysters, but let me tell you, they stink when you cook them, and even when they're already fully cooked, the whole room smells like piss, like kidneys. My grandmother says you got to soak kidneys in brine in a heavy salt water.
Right.
You got to get that stench out of them. Liver, liver's no problem. Liver, you just season it up, and
Yeah, liver and onions, bit of bacon.
Yeah, onions, whatever seasoning you put, dry rub. You can put your curry powder, and any way you want.
Oh, I love curry. My grandfather used to tell me years ago. He used to say, he used to talk about, back in the old days. He was born like 1926, and he used to say to me about, the old farmers. Not all of them, but some of the old farmers, in the area, and they used to call them they were fucking really stingy. They had a lot of money, but they were stingy. Do you know what I mean by stingy?
Yeah, I know. They were tight with the dollar. Yeah.
Yeah, they were fucking tight. But what he used to say to me, when it came to Christmas, these stingy farmers, there was a lot of poor people living around at the time, but these stingy farmers, they used to kill a bull at Christmas, and they used to give the balls to the poor. You know what I mean? And that sounds fucking crazy, but he's fucking dead, right?
What do they say? Since you poor folks are behind the 8 ball, here's some real ball. Get behind these balls.
Yeah, they used to kill a bull at Christmas and give the balls.
And give the balls. And all the
that was their donation. That was their donation.
That was the donation, testicles. So all the other parts of the cow, of the bull, they kept it.
Yeah.
They didn't get the tongue and the brains.
No, not at all. Nothing. Just the balls.
Because I know beef tongue you can eat beef tongue. I know that.
My mother-in-law, ex-mother-in-law from Bolivia, wow, could she cook some good beef tongue?
Yeah, they also cook tripe, which they call mondongo in Spanish.
Yeah.
Tripe.
Yeah.
I love tripe. Tripe is good when the weather's cold. A nice tripe stew with potatoes and peas and different,
it's amazing.
Yeah, Italian has tomatoes in it, but I've had it. The Spanish style doesn't have tomatoes. But tripe has got to be soaked in brine too, at least for a day or overnight.
Yeah, you got to clean it. You got to clean it out. You know.
Oh yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be cleaned and disinfected. And salt for centuries they used salt for there was no refrigeration at one time, and
Yeah.
everything was salt. Do you know that codfish?
Yeah.
Well, codfish has big. People don't realize that there's meat in the cheeks.
Yeah.
Like when you cut a fish head off, and cod has a couple cheeks. There's meat in there. Yeah, that's why I usually
love cod. I love codfish.
I get frozen fillet at the Acme supermarket, and it's reasonably priced. It could be Alaskan pollock, which is a member of the cod family.
Yeah.
Flounder.
Haddock.
Haddock is the best. Haddock is the king of the codfish.
Love it.
The best fish and chips is haddock.
Oh, flaky, beautiful.
Yeah. In the batter, in that batter they use. I know batters can be made in different ways, but anyway, I'm getting hungry, and I'm going to close out the show. Thank you for.
All right, James.
Thank you for joining me. Jason, thank you. Tab. 21.
Jason Tab.
Bart Robinson, thank you. Your friend there, London Love, thank you.
London, Ronnie
S. Thank you, Ronnie S. Jason Cleveland, thank you. Masumi from Japan, thank you.
Oh, Masumi was on too.
Masumi came by to say hello. Yeah, it's of course it's Monday morning over there now.
Right.
Yeah, and Ron Terrio stopped by. Ronald Terrio stopped by. Thank you, Ronald. So anyway, I know the weather. I'm not complaining because
always take the weather with you everywhere you go.
I hate hazy, hot, and humid. I like dry heat because I've been in the desert and it feels wonderful. But heat and humidity, I'm not a fan of. And I'm not complaining about autumn because the air is clean and crisp, and it's just it makes for better sleeping, exercising, sex, or whatever, all the above. Oh, you know what's good? You like split pea soup with smoked ham in it?
Oh my gosh, that's the best.
You like that? Yeah. Oh,
James, that's the best. That's wow. That's that gives you your strength for the whole week.
When my sister makes a smoked ham for, let's say, a holiday, and she cooks a smoked ham, she always gives me the center bone with all the meat attached to it, and usually there's a lot of meat on it, and I use that for the soup that I just mentioned. Nothing like it. So anyway, take care, everyone. I got to order some food. Have a good evening.
All right. Thank you, James. Hopefully I'll see you next Sunday.
Yeah, well, I'll be on Saturday night. I don't know.
Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you probably go on some beer review shows.
Not too much these days. I've been kind of not a recluse, but just laying low. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
If you're up there, I'll be looking out for you. Although I'll be working that day, Saturday. I've got a 6-day week coming up now. So
yeah, I'll be on at starting at 8 p.m. But you know me, I'm on for a while.
All right. Well, send me the link on the email.
Okay. All right. No problem. All right. Take care.
All right.